welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tyra Janae. I'm back with another video today, and I just thought I would sit down in my bed, just me and you guys, and I looked on my YouTube comments and I was seeing a lot of comments or questions about nursing, travel nursing, school, all that stuff. So I just thought I'd just sit down, go through my comments and answer any questions, any unanswered questions that I did not comment back on. And you know, I try to comment on all of my comments that you guys put on my videos, but with me being very inconsistent and not being on, I've missed a lot. So I just thought it would be great to answer your questions because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm ignoring them, because I'm not. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. You guys know I moved into a student apartment, and it's just temporary. My lease is up in July, so I plan on moving, and hopefully whatever place I decide to move to will be a place I'll be in for at least more than a year. You know what I'm saying? Because when I moved out of my parents' house, I thought I would be in a good place for, you know, a while, but my first place was a disaster because of like the mold and all that stuff that happened and the fleas. And then this place, I just want to be back without roommates, you know. I tried it, I don't really, you know, so I'm gonna just wait. But anywho, let's get right into these comments. So everybody has been asking, there's been multiple people, they've been asking me what agency do I work for, you know, drop some agencies. And I've answered a few people. Like, some people have went over to my Instagram and asked me, and I've left a couple of comments on some people's places. But it's, I mean, I could tell you guys what agencies I work for, which I will, but it's not because I specifically went after that agency, and I'll get into it. So basically, the agencies that I have worked for or working for is Career Staff and AMN. And then there's some other agencies that I've been submitted for contracts, but it's not really important. What's important is if you want to be able to find travel contracts, whether you're LPN, whether you're a CNA, whether you're an RN, or there's other professions, my recommendation is that you guys go to Facebook, search LPN travel contracts or LPN travel groups, and if you put that in, you will find a bunch of travel groups online. Once you join, some of them will require you to answer a couple of questions. They're simple questions, they're not hard, like what's your specialty, what's your profession, blah 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 blah. Once you do that and they accept you into the group, you'll be able to see all of everyone's posts that's in the group. That is recruiters, that is other nurses that are trying to look for travel jobs as well, especially the recruiters. The recruiters will post all of the jobs that they have available to them with their agency. They'll tell you the date, they'll tell you what specialty, they'll tell you the city, name, how much you're getting paid. And then from there you will email them or text them, however they want to communicate, and you'll usually send over like your resume to start off and just say that you're interested in that contract. They'll tell you what agency they're from, and you just go from there and you choose the best contract that you want. There are people that are in the group that will ask you, hey, this is the contract I got from this agency, this recruiter, is this a good contract for me to choose? And then people will comment on it. If you're not really sure, just go in there. Just first go in and look at all the groups that are on Facebook, because that's where I've gotten all of my found all of my recruiters or found all of my contracts. And then you just go from there, and then you can always take recommendations for certain agencies that other people recommend and then go directly to their website. But I say just start on Facebook because it's been helpful for me so far. So that's the answer to that question. Garcia Star Girl asks, once you do your schedule, do you have to be on call for other days? So what I'm assuming she's talking about is if you're in a travel contract and you do your 3 days, say you're scheduled for 3 12-hour shifts a week, and you did your 3 12s during that week, you have fulfilled your contract for that week. So unless it says in your contract that you have to be on call for certain other days for your contract, if it doesn't say that, then no, you've done your 3 days. They may ask you, hey, can you pick up a shift? But that's under your discretion. If you want to pick up an extra shift for your overtime, whatever is in your overtime contract, whatever amount that is, that's what you will get paid. That's up to you. You can choose to or not to, depending. But once you do your 3 days or whatever amount of days or hours are in your contract and you've fulfilled that for the week, you are not on call unless it's specified differently. Someone asked about local contracts. Now, I did a local contract and I found it through my agency that I did on my first travel contract. So that was just me not really going back to Facebook, just me already being with my recruiter from my first contract, still staying in contact with her. We have a great relationship. I talk to her still to this day for future stuff, but that's just telling her, hey, I finished this contract in this state, I want to go back home and do some local contracts. What do you guys have available in my state? And then you just go from there. So if you want to do local contracts and if you've never traveled before, I say go to Facebook. There are local travel groups too. There's whatever you need, they have a group for you. So just Google or Facebook groups, all that stuff. Okay, so Janice asked, how does it work with licensing? Does a person just have to have a license in their home state? Do they give training on whatever computer charting they use? So to answer the first question, does a person just have to have a license in their home state? I have a compact Florida license, which means that if there are other states that accept a compact license, I can just go ahead and go with my Florida license and work in that state. Okay? If the state is not a compact license or a compact state, then you have to probably apply to that license. However, because of what's going on with COVID and all that stuff, there's a lot of contracts or agencies or the state that will accept your license because they are in a dire need for nurses for that facility in that state. Or your recruiter will take care and will give you a temporary license in that state while you're working. So you don't have to really worry about it. That's my experience. Some people have had horror stories. Some people have had to pay out of pocket with their own money. Some people get reimbursed. It just depends. Every contract is different. So make sure you read that because a lot of recruiters will put that on the contract when they're posting it. They'll say, hey, Missouri license only or Maryland license only or compact license accepted, whatever. So just read into that, ask your recruiter questions, make sure you know. Every contract is different though, so it's not the same for each contract. And then her second question, do they give you training on whatever computer charting they use? If they nice. But they will usually tell you, if they don't tell you right in the posting, or you could ask your recruiter, you know, it's sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. So if you're really concerned about that, make sure you ask them, because I didn't ask them with my contracts. So mind you, when I came from home health pediatrics to going into my first long-term care travel contract, they didn't tell me what computer charting they use until I actually got in my contract, got to the facility, and they showed me. And they probably asked me, are you familiar? I use point click care. So I was kind of familiar with point click care only because of my clinical rotation. I remember seeing the nurses use it, and I used it briefly whenever I would be able to pass meds. So but that was like a year and a half ago, right? But I do remember it. So luckily on my first contract, they gave me like 2 days of shadow training with the nurse, and then she just showed me. And then from there, point click care is very easy, so I was able to catch on really good. And all of my contracts or facilities I've worked at has used point click care except for in LA used Epic. And they trained me in LA and Epic. I mean, it's kind of like they'll show you and then you just have to catch on. If you're a fast learner, that's great. If you're not a fast learner, you might need to learn how to pick up the pace a little bit. With that contract, it was a vaccination contract, so they were able to teach us. But at the same time, if you're not getting it with the flow that needs to be gotten, they're gonna like look at you a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But luckily Epic is pretty easy too, and I was able to learn that. So I've only used point click care and Epic. But if you're concerned about knowing what computer charting, especially if you're going into a hospital setting, you need to ask your recruiter. You need to ask the facility or whatever. If the facility is calling you for an interview, you need to make sure you ask that question because you want to be somewhat prepared. Someone Ashley asks, I have been working as an LVN in Texas for 2 years. I did dialysis a year and geriatrics a year, and now immunizations. Do I need more skills before I start traveling? Depends. If you're going for a dialysis travel contract, if the contract's at a dialysis center and you have that year experience, you should be good. It depends on the contract. Sometimes they'll ask for a year, sometimes they'll ask for 2+ years. It depends. But if you're confident in your abilities, like with the dialysis center experience, hey, I say go for it. But if you're not confident and you're not sure, don't sign up for something that, especially if they're not going to train you, because a lot of these contracts right now, they want you to have the experience. They don't have time to train you, blah 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 blah. So it's up to you. If you have a year in geriatrics, so if you have long-term care experience, skilled nursing, assisted living, stuff like that, a year is probably good, because I didn't have any long-term care experience when I did my first long-term care contract, except for my clinical experience. So all the clinical experience, all of my clinical sites were long-term care, so I had that experience. So I was pretty confident going in because I knew what to expect day to day, because I had clinicals every day, every week for like a couple of months towards the end of my schooling. So I was pretty confident in it. But it's up to you. If you don't have any geriatric experience and you're accepting a long-term care contract, no, I would say get some staff experience first before you start traveling, and that's in anything. There's a lot of med-surg contracts going on right now with LPNs, and I'm like, no, don't submit me, because I have no med-surg experience in the hospital, nothing like that, because Florida doesn't let LPNs into the hospital, at least from what I'm seeing, So I only have home health, long-term care. I could do vaccinations. I could probably do a clinic, but I need training in that. So you just have to know what your skills are. You don't want your license, your license, it took you a long time to get your license, so you don't want that taken away because you're put in a situation that you don't have experience in. So just be careful. Okay, this is a good question. Allison asked, I'm a RN but new grad and have 10 years experience as an LPN. Think it's worth it to start traveling as an LPN since I haven't surpassed my 1 year yet? Yes. If you're thinking about travel nursing but you just got your RN license and you don't have any RN experience, but she has 10 years experience working as an LPN, definitely start traveling as an LPN. If you're not interested in getting a staff job and getting RN experience, whether that's at a hospital or whatever, if you're not interested in that right now, if you want to wait and start traveling, definitely go as your LPN. Like, they'll love you. 10 years experience, I don't know what your experience is in, but just go with a contract with your experience. I say go for it. If you want to be traveling, why not? Someone commented, and it wasn't a question, but she said, I want to start traveling and want to do one in Orlando, Florida. As you guys know, I live in Orlando. But it's a little hard to come by. Florida is terrible with contracts. Like, it's really hard to find contracts, and once you do find a contract, the pay is not what it needs to be. Okay, it's not giving. But there are Florida contracts out here, but it's a little harder to come by than any other state. How did you only have one patient at the facility or multiple? And what did you have to do? Meds pass? Oh, they're getting confused. When I said I had one patient, that was at my staff job because I was a pediatric home health nurse and I only had one patient at a time. So that's separate. So when I did my contracts, my travel contracts, that was at a long-term care facility. I had 13, 14, 20 patients at a time. So yeah, that's separate, girl. I think I got through all of the nursing questions. I'm gonna do a separate I didn't mean to point at you guys. I'm gonna do a separate video about my apartment stuff because there's a lot of apartment questions. And sidebar, all these little randoms in my comments talking about I had too much stuff in my apartment, essential hauls. Ma'am, sir, I came from my parents' house. I had nothing. I had no kitchen stuff. I had nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of stuff, and I like to cook. I wanted to cook. I don't want to spend my dollars out here at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A every day, okay? So I had a lot of like gadgets and equipment and stuff like that. Just because you don't be cooking, Just because you don't cook or like to cook don't mean you need to come for me, because every gadget I had in my apartment halls, part 1 and part 2, all my stuff, I used every single thing, okay? And a lot of my kitchen stuff is in storage. That's because I'm in my student housing, but I still have it, and I cannot wait to move to be able to have my own kitchen space to cook again and do everything I do. So don't come for me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? But every time I see like a comment like that, like I just laugh. Like someone was like maximalism, and I was like, leave me alone. You do you, I do me. I don't be checking for you. Okay? But yeah, people have a lot of opinions about the apartment haul, but I would think it was a great video and I loved it. And I was appreciative for everything I got there. Okay, so I think I answered all of the nursing questions that were in the comments that I didn't get to answer. If you guys have more questions, definitely leave a comment down below. You can contact me on Instagram. Even I try to check my message request as much as I can, so I probably need to go check those. I try to get through those because there are YouTube message requests and then there's like random guy message requests that I try to like skip. You know, every girl got the message request with the dude trying to slide in her DMs, like, and you just skip over those. So, but if you have a message request and you're asking me about YouTube stuff, nursing stuff, apartment stuff, travel stuff, go ahead and send me a message. I will get back to you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And I will see you guys all in my next one. Until next time, peace.